Are you looking to move to Boise, Idaho, and during your search, you're on Google and you're trying to figure out why is this place so hyped? You can't figure it out, there's no beach, but everyone loves it. Well, we are going to dive into everything that is Boise, Idaho and why people love this place. Guys, the secret is out and I'm gonna dive into those secrets a little bit more, expound on them, and let you know why people are choosing Boise as their new place to call home. You can't skip out on Boise if you're looking for a better quality of life than where you're coming from. Probably California or Washington, am I right? Hate to say it, but you really can't get into the pros and cons of salaries and wages unless you talk about a little bit of politics and money. Minimum wage, huge topic. If you say the minimum wage is 20 bucks an hour or 50 bucks an hour, guess what? Guess what that does to the owner's bottom line? It makes it shrink. So you have to make up for it somewhere. You have to raise the cost. And so a minimum wage that's too high ultimately just hurts the consumer. The owner is not going to eat all of that. As a side note, generally speaking in Idaho, if you're wondering, this might not apply to you because a lot of you aren't working minimum wage, but generally speaking, if they're gonna give you a minimum wage, it's gonna be somewhere around that $12 to $15 an hour range. And in Idaho, a con would be our minimum wage is lower than California. The pro would be our costs are cheaper. When we look at this screen here, you're gonna find that California is more than Idaho, and there's a reason to it. The politics. The politics in Idaho are superb. So the pros of the cost of living in Idaho are that it's cheaper to live here. Why is that? It's because the con of living in Idaho is that you have smaller minimum wages. Well, guess what? That's actually the pro. Do you see how that works? The con actually becomes the pro. That crazy, right? But it's better to live in Idaho. Cost of living's better. Cost of things are cheaper. I mean, it's crazy when you look at that screen together. You've got groceries that are cheaper. You've got clothing that's cheaper. Everything almost across the board is cheaper in Idaho. Why? Because we keep the costs down. For those coming from out of state, you know the taxes that are put on your gas. I mean, why is gas more expensive in California? Well, you have a million taxes that go onto that. And that's the reason why Idaho's cheaper. We have way less taxes. Cost of living goes down for you. Number one question you should be asking yourself if you're moving from California to Idaho, or if you're moving from Washington to Idaho, or Oregon to Idaho, wherever it is are you really gonna miss the beach? Or are you really gonna miss the big sports? Because when it comes to Idaho, we miss out on the big sports, we miss out on the beach. But when it comes to outdoors, I would say it's a huge pro. When you go camping, you're not gonna go camping, you have to worry about rain 24/7. From where I live, within 45 minutes, I've got 3 choices of lakes I can go to go water skiing, wakeboarding, surfing. Within 3 hours of leaving home, you could be at dozens and dozens and dozens upon dozens of campsites, whether it's in the mountains, whether you hike there, whether you drive there, dunes, fish, rivers and streams, like the whole 9 yards. You have so many choices. Huge pro for Idaho. The con is, like I said in the beginning, the beach. No beach, no big sports teams, and then when you're in LA or Seattle or all these big cities, you've got a lot of options. So if you're coming from a big city and you're like, yeah, I love that I can go to all these different concerts. One weekend it's these guys, one weekend it's that guys. Like, we have options here, but it's not dozens and dozens of options for you on the weekend. Also a pro, we have this thing called Quinn's Pond. Did you know you can actually surf in Idaho? Not behind a boat, I'm talking on the river. We have this whitewater park in downtown Boise, and it's got a little surf thing where you can go. It's pretty fun. Actually, I've never done it. I don't consider myself a professional surfer. When I get behind the boat, I'm lucky to go for a few minutes without the rope, and so I'm not gonna go embarrass myself in front of others, but there's a whitewater park where you can surf on the river. Activities that you might enjoy outdoors are hiking, kayaking, rafting, anything to do with mountains, anything to do with rivers, lakes. Idaho is a do state. You really can't beat Boise's location though. Whether you want to go up Highway 55 from Boise or go southeast to Mountain Home and then hit up what's over there, or you want to go west into Oregon, Boise's location is pretty prime for the outdoors. One of my favorite activities to do in Boise is be on the greenbelt. It's shaded, it's cool. The sounds of the river, the smell of the river. I was just there actually last weekend and we're about 50 feet from the river at the Morrison Center, and you can just smell the river. I love it. I love being down there. Another thing to do in Boise is golf. In Boise itself, you have Quail Hollow, Hillcrest, and Warm Springs. Those are the 3 that are within city limits. Busiest golf course in Idaho is actually Warm Springs Golf Course. Why? Because Boise itself, Boise proper, there aren't too many golf courses, and so that one attracts a lot of residents. Boise addresses, I mean, if you go just a hair outside of Boise, you've got Boise Ranch, you've got Shadow Valley, which I think is actually an official Boise address, but it more feels like Eagle. I would say the golf in Boise is plenty acceptable. I love it. I love going golfing. It's something that I think you'll have a lot of fun doing. There's plenty of options for you, and that's just to scratch the surface. There are so many more. When it comes to the Boise's parks, it's a huge pro for Boise. The huge parks like Ann Morrison, Catherine Albertson, Julia Davis, those three are huge and they're right downtown. A ton of green space in like almost downtown Boise. And then you've got a bunch of other parks, small parks, Owyhee Park, MK Nature Center, Camel's Back, which is a medium-sized park, but awesome views. If you just hike up that little hill real quick, you got awesome views of downtown. Julian Park, Florence Park, Table Rock is a fun hike, Sunset Park, and so many others. Boise is a desert, so if you get outside of Boise, you're actually in desert. But because of the river that flows through Boise, it feels super green. You can't leave the activity section without talking about Bogus. In the winter, it's skiing. In the summer, there's like some alpine slides. Never been there, doing it this summer, but you can get a lot of good skiing done. That's only 30 minutes from Boise. I'm willing to bet that for the quality of life and where you're coming from, there is no better place than Boise. Why? Because when you balance everything we're talking about in this video and you compare it to where you're coming from, you're gonna be missing out on something. You might be in Central California and you are in the middle of a desert and you are looking for something to do. You might come from the big city and you're wondering if the politics are just eating you up. You might be anywhere in the state and just don't like the political climate. But when it comes to home prices, there are some areas of your state that will actually be better priced. What we've seen is since 2020, there was a huge event that year, not sure if you remember, that the prices rose in Idaho because people were given permission to work remote, and so they thought, forget this state, I'm heading to Boise. That put the supply and demand curve at a different state, and now we have higher prices. That's what happened. When it comes to Boise's home prices, you can see the numbers on your screen, and I'll let you analyze those. I'm gonna talk about something else while you look at those numbers, and that is Boise depends on the area you live at. Like Southeast Boise and Central Boise and North End Boise, super pricey. If you get into the bench or you get into older things and you just, kind of like Bora High School area, Capital High School area, not Boise and not Timberline, those areas are a little bit less pricey. And so these numbers that we're looking for all of Boise aren't a true depiction, so to speak, of what you're gonna get in Boise because there's so much variety of prices. Pros and cons of water rights in Idaho compared to your state. Guys, we are not drying up. One of the cool things about Idaho is that we have HOAs. Now, those HOAs come with a cost. I talk to you guys. I hear what you're saying. You want to move to Idaho for no HOAs. And I think it comes from a place, if you guys are moving from a state where you're tired of being watched and that you want to get away from that. There is a pro to some of these HOAs. I got away from mine, but here's the benefit. When you live within a neighborhood with an HOA, what you're getting is some sort of rules to keep people in a working order and keeping the values up. And how strict that is or how strict it's not really depends on the neighborhood. I moved from one of the world's strictest HOAs and I didn't like it, so I got out and moved, got an acre here. And we have an HOA we pay $100 a year too, and it basically does nothing. But one thing you do get in most every neighborhood is water, irrigation water that comes from the canals. There's Lucky Peak and there's a huge canal system that comes off that, and it feeds the whole valley. What happens is your neighborhood buys water shares and then they will now distribute those water shares to the homeowners, and within your HOA you're gonna get free water because you will have paid the HOA and now you can water your lawn for free. Now that doesn't mean you need to water your lawn 14 times a week. I should probably have told that to the last neighbor, but it does mean the water's free. You can actually drown out your grass. You only need it 3 or 4 times even in the heat of the summer. Compare that to where you're coming from. Are you struggling with water rights and wonder if you're gonna dry up? Idaho's not a bad place. Guys, before moving on to the next topic, my name is Brian Hymas, born and raised here in the Boise Valley. I've been making these videos since 2020, and I love making them. Every video is different. It brings you in, it teaches you about different cities, whether it's Boise, Meridian, Garden City, Eagle, Star, Kuna, Middleton, Caldwell, Nampa. I love talking about all of these places, If you are looking to move to the Boise Valley or Boise itself or Middleton or Eagle, wherever it is, give me a call, a text, an email. The number and the email are on your screen right now. Give me one of those and I will respond. I take pride in that. It's my joy. It's why I make these videos, is for you. So if you're looking to move to Boise in the next 9 days or 9 months, I would love to be your man. There is no greater compliment that I receive than those phone calls, texts, or emails. Now, on to the next topic. Hey, listen up. Between you and me, are you just tired of living in a liberal state? I get it. I really do. Like, I literally talk to you guys all the time. And it's not that I'm against or hate any sort of people, but when politics become the point where it affects your daily life, like that's an issue. And you've got to decide what's best for you. I'm gonna tell you that living in Boise itself, Boise proper, might not be the best for you, but Boise area probably is, if that's the reason you're leaving, because Boise is actually a little bit of blue. You can drive streets, you can see different flags that mean something to you or don't mean something to you, for the better or for the worse. There's no homeless issue in all of the Boise area except for downtown Boise. It's like there is a portion of Boise that is more liberal. North End, Southeast Boise, those are more liberal. Even the bench, I don't know if it's over 50%, but I can tell you it's a lot higher concentration there than it is in Meridian, Eagle, Cuna, Middleton, Star, those areas. And so if you are trying to escape your political state because of politics, if that makes sense, then you will want to check out somewhere else besides Boise. That is why I suggest you should check out that video right there. That one is all about Eagle. That one is a huge good fit for you. If that is why, that's why I suggest you watch that video on moving to Eagle, or I would check out this video, moving to Middleton. I've lived in both of them. Those videos are both good and they both give you a good feel of what living outside of Boise is like. Real cons about Boise, Idaho, its location. Boise is not centrally located. It's not the center point like Dallas and Fort Worth, if you will. It's on the east end. And so in order to go all the way into Boise for the Boise State football game, or if you're gonna go to the Morrison Center, or you're gonna go do something downtown, Boise is located on the east end, so no matter where you're going from, it's the furthest point almost on the map. Also, Boise is not surrounded by big other cities. Our nearest city is Twin Falls, which is like 2 hours away, which you probably have never heard of. Big cities include Salt Lake, which is 5 hours, Portland, which is 5 or 6, Seattle, about 7 or 8. And so you've got these other cities that work basically alone, and which is fine. I mean, it's totally not a problem. If there are true cons about Boise, I would actually put the location as a con for Boise. The pro would be the airport. It's located on the south end of Boise, probably 15 minutes max. Really good location, just on the south side. It actually used to be where Boise State is today. I just learned this, and it used to have the longest runway in America in the 30s. Little known facts, little known use, Boise's airport. You can hit Sacramento, you can hit Vegas, SoCal, many airports, you get Phoenix, Minneapolis, Chicago, Dallas. All these places have one-way direct flights from Boise, and so that's not a problem. But if you're heading on a road trip or you're gonna be needing a walkable downtown, there are some location factors that would probably give Boise a con. Now, if you move to Boise, are you gonna be able to shop at retail stores that you're familiar with, or do we have nothing? Correct answer, we have some stuff, so that's good. Let's talk about what there is in Boise. There's Albertsons, Trader Joe's, Target, Walmart, Costco, Best Buy, Whole Foods. When it comes to dining, we've got Ruth's Chris, Barbacoa, Red Robin. What's hard with coming up with these lists is that these are such normal restaurants. I'm like, what are some normal restaurants? Cracker Barrel, Cheesecake Factory. Of course, we've got every fast food restaurant that you've got. Oh, we even have an In-N-Out. We have an In-N-Out. We're getting Raising Cane's right now. So Boise's really growing. These things are going in most likely in Boise or the border of Boise and Meridian. So do we have as many as you? No. Do we have good taco shops? Yes. Is that all that matters? Probably. But we've got a lot of restaurants, a lot of grocery stores that you have. Can't talk about Boise without talking about the good schools. Where you're coming from, I don't know what it's like, but I have a guess. I have a guess that sending your kid off to school is a little worrisome. Maybe there's some anxiety about if there's gonna be safety that day, or how far they are, or if they're going into the right part of town, or where the school is located. I'm not sure, but I do know Boise schools are fantastic. The ratings, you can see them on your screen, are even better than that. You've got great class sizes. You've got great diversity in Boise, which I actually am a huge fan of. When it comes to Boise schools, that is a plus. I will say, for as blue, quote unquote, as Boise is, the schools aren't as blue, but they probably are more so than the red school districts, so to speak. I mean, it's not even a fair way to put it, is red and blue, but more liberal, more conservative. If you want to talk about school districts that most people are going to, I see that as West Ada. That includes Eagle High School, Mountain View, Meridian, Rocky, Owyhee. That includes Star, Eagle, Meridian. Middleton receives some good amount of love there too, but Boise itself has great ratings. I would just say I don't see as many families that I work with come here and go to Boise. I see them a lot of times head to other school districts. When we look at hospitals in Boise, you can see Primary Health, how those dot the map. You can see St. Al's, and you can see St. Luke's. If you live in Boise and need to be close to hospitals, you are in good shape. One of the things I hear most from you guys is, I don't know if I can handle the winters. First things first, our winters are so much more mild than Eastern Idaho, so much more mild than Salt Lake, so much more mild than Coeur d'Alene, so much more mild than Denver. I mean, we have actually a mild winter. We had one snowstorm this year that lasted a couple days, and then the snow stuck around for about a week. We had to shovel our driveway. Actually got really cold. It got to about 5 degrees, but I kid you not, there was no wind and the sun was out on that 5-degree day, and I was on the phone videoing my customer walking a property with boots and a coat, and I had a sweatshirt and a coat on, and I was warm. I promise you I was. The other day it was 40 degrees and windy. I had a jacket on. I was cold. So it actually has more to do with the wind and dressing appropriately. But I love the 4 seasons. In the summer in Boise, you're gonna find temperatures reach over 100 for a week to 3 weeks. In the winter, you're gonna find 1 to 4 snowstorms in a winter. Once in every 15 years or so, you'll get a huge storm, but the norm is just like this last winter. 1 snowstorm, a couple other small snowfalls, and other than that, it's really 25 to 35 degree high that day. Now you might be thinking, that's cold, but the coldest I get cold when it's 60 degrees. Promise you adjust. I went to school in Eastern Idaho. It was 0 degrees there regularly. And when I came back to 30 degrees, it was warm. It really depends on how your body acclimates. Your body produces different chemicals to help you with the temperature you're in. And so I promise you will get used to it. Fall and spring, in my opinion, are fantastic weather. That's 6 months out of the year. Winter, I don't mind because it's a change of season, but I prefer it's shorter, maybe a few weeks. Honestly, not that big a deal. In summer, I wish our 100-degree season was probably a max of 95. At the same time, you get used to it. One of the things that happens in winters is a thing called the inversion. And the inversion is basically clouds that come and just kind of trap all the air there because of different pressures. All you need to know is that they can come for a couple hours, they can come for a couple weeks. Most times they come for just a couple days. I gotta admit, as a Boise native, I might know a few too many things about Boise. One of them is an Airbnb that's a potato. So Boise had this potato. It was 28 feet by 12 feet long, and it was used to travel the nation. I don't know how much publicity this thing got, but in 2019 it retired. This gal, Christy Wolf, finds out this potato and knows she can do something. She knows she can market it, and she does. She puts it south of Boise, and she uses it as an Airbnb. There's a queen-size bed, there's a kitchenette, and it's about 200 square feet. Hats off to Christy for seeing the marketing idea there. It's always booked, it seems like. Always booked. If you stay at the Airbnb, you've got the Jersey cow dolly there that you can, I don't know, milk, look at, pet. But guys, if you are looking to move to Boise and this video has intrigued you about the city of Boise itself, go check out Moving to Boise, that video. That one is a good one. You need to go check out that video because that one's gonna tell you all the things you need to know about moving here. This has been a good video for telling you about Boise, but moving here is a little bit different. Go check that video out right now, Moving to Boise. And guys, I've said this before, if you are moving to Boise, there is no greater compliment that I receive than phone calls, texts, emails from you. They come in on the regular, and it is why I make these videos. I do them to help you understand Boise, but honestly, I want to help you. And if this video helps you and you're looking for a real estate agent, that is me. I've been doing real estate for 7 years, was an appraiser before that, born and raised in Boise. So if those things jive with you, give me a call, text, or email. You have the information on your screen, and let's get you started on the Buying in Boise Blueprint. A blueprint that is set up for success. What it's gonna do is we're gonna take you on a Zoom call, and for that Zoom call, you're gonna feel the process is gonna be laid out for you, and it's gonna be so tight that you won't overpay for a home, you won't miss out on any homes, and you won't buy a lemon. That is the process that we have for you, Buying in Boise Blueprint. If you want that, are you moving to Boise in the next 9 days or 9 months? Give me a call, text, or email, and we'll get you set up. I'm sure some of you guys have been to Boise, so if I missed anything, will you please put that in the comments? I will respond to it one, and then I'll make a video about it too, so double bonus. There are so many places you could go to camp. There's rivers. Within 3 hours, one cool pro for you is that we have this, what is it? But in Boise itself, you've got Quail Hollow. But in Boise itself, you have Quail Hollow. Gosh, why can't I do this? You might be as a dog.